Welcome into another video. This time we're talking about my top 5 sleepers for 2023. Now, coming in at number 5, we have George Pickens. Now, coming out of Georgia, he was this nice, big-bodied wide receiver, spectacular catch rating. He was all over the place as far as his injury goes. They just didn't know if he was going to be able to stay on the field and be healthy, but sure enough, he did. The Steelers took a risk in drafting George Pickens, and he was absolutely phenomenal in his rookie season. Now, we're coming in here, Deontay Johnson is still considered the #1 wide receiver for this football team, but I wouldn't be surprised if Pickett goes ahead and overlaps Deontay Johnson this season. He was building a really nice rapport with quarterback Kenny Pickett. Pickett, with yet another season under his belt, should get even better. He's got really good accuracy. Looking at the 2 of the last 3 football games last season, Pickens ended up with a touchdown. So he was doing very good. He was getting a lot of targets. I would say anywhere between 5 targets to 6 targets a game. He was even having a couple games in last season where he was at the 8 target range. And I kind of see where that's going to be. Around 6 to 8 targets a game should be his norm from now on. If you get it anywhere in his radius, he's probably going to come down with the football. He's very, very fun to watch. And if you have him on your football team, you'll be very glad you did. Right now, a lot of people are kind of sleeping on George Pickens. ADP is really in the back half of your fantasy drafts, and you could be getting some guy that could end up being a nice wide receiver too for your football team. He could become a great wide receiver in the NFL if given more of an opportunity. And I think this season, Kenny Pickett and this offense for the Steelers is going to give Pickens enough opportunity to be a huge fantasy asset and definitely a sleeper for your fantasy team in 2023. Moving right along here, coming in at number 4, we're going to talk about Odell Beckham Jr. Now, a lot of people saying, hey, look, this guy might be a little washed up, but I'm telling you guys, he is a sleeper. Let's even look at last season. 7 out of the last 11 games last season, he ended up with a touchdown. He was showing really good. He was somebody who was going to be able to give you persistent type of points week in and week out. You knew what you were going to kind of get. And even going throughout the entire season itself, somebody that you knew he was probably going to end up with a touchdown catch and save your week. An amazing wide receiver 3. Somebody's going way later in your draft and you could pick up. I mean, we're looking at Zay Flowers, the rookie wide receiver they brought in, and Rashad Bateman on the other side. I just don't see anybody right now that Lamar Jackson is going to trust more than Odell Beckham to get him the football. Lamar Jackson just got himself a massive deal, and he's going to be leaning on his pass catchers in Mark Andrews and Odell Beckham to try to prove to the Ravens, hey, look, I'm your guy. The reason why you paid me. J.K. Dobbins is having some injury issues. They just signed Melvin Gordon. So they're not really solidified as of right now as far as what they're going to do for the offense, except for those pass catchers. I think Mark Andrews obviously going to get his. Odell Beckham Jr. should be a definitely viable wide receiver 3, even a flex play for your team. Get him as a fantasy sleeper in 2023. Coming in at number 3, we're talking about Juwan Johnson, going to be the bona fide #1 tight end for this football team. Adam Troutman moved right along. He went on to Denver. Now Juwan Johnson is the main guy. I know they got Foster Moreau, but who knows if he's going to be able to play the entire season. And if he gets on the field, how much of interaction is he going to have? So Juwan Johnson, another big body tight end who's got a lot of red zone capabilities for you guys. Looking at the offense, there's got weapons around him to work. Defenses aren't going to be able to hone in on Juwan Johnson. You're talking about Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, Rashid Shaheed, A.T. Perry, the rookie they got out of Wake Forest. They've got some weapons on the outside. I think it's going to give ample opportunity for Juwan Johnson to be a premier tight end in the league. He could possibly push for a top 10 tight end. Yeah, I'm calling it right now here on the channel. Top 10 tight end for 2023. Get Juwan Johnson. You'll be happy you did. Definitely a fantasy sleeper for 2023. Coming at number 2, I'm going to talk about Samaje Perine. A lot of people are thinking Javonte Williams might get the start week 1. I don't think, even if Javonte Williams ends up being on the field week 1, I don't think he's going to have a full workload. Samaje Perine is somebody we have to remember was playing with the Bengals. And when Joe Mixon missed the game, Samaje Perine was 100 yards and a touchdown type of running back. He's a hard-nosed runner who can get the job done. We all know Javonte Williams, even if he does come back, does he stay healthy the entire season? Could be a huge asset for your fantasy team. And Samaje Perine, somebody you can grab at the back end of your drafts and be a huge sleeper for your league. Who knows, going into the fantasy football playoffs, you could have Samaje Perine as your #1 running back if, God forbid, you had some injuries to your roster. grab Samaje Perine, especially if you're a Javonte Williams owner, and you'll be glad you did, because Perine is definitely a sleeper for me in 2023. Coming in at that #1 spot, we're going to Chig Okonkwo. Now, I know they just signed DeAndre Hopkins. I get that. They got Treylon Burks on the outside, but I mean, he's going to have all the opportunity in the world, even without Treylon Burks. I just think Chig is going to be a phenomenal asset. Even in last season, he was showing a lot of promise to be a great tight end in this league. He's got the route running ability. He's got the hands. He's got the opportunity that spells for success in fantasy football. Ryan Tannehill is the quarterback as of right now. Who knows when Will Levis will be taken over? We don't really know. I don't really care, to be honest with you. No matter who's the quarterback, they're going to be using a safety blanket in the tight end, as I say all the time on this channel, and Chig Okonkwo is that guy. Now, with DeAndre Hopkins, I know he will now be the main target. Chig was higher on my list before Hopkins signed, but now Hopkins signed, I still think Chig is a sleeper, but just not as high of a sleeper as now Hopkins is on the field. But I think he's going to be an amazing value, another tight end you can get towards the end parts of your draft. And you can have him as your #1 tight end for the season, because he's going to be able to give you consistent points. So other than that, that is my top 5 sleepers for this upcoming season. Guys, hit the subscribe button. Really would help out the channel. Guys, we're dropping videos 2 to 3 times per week, getting you guys set up for your NFL fantasy drafts, and hopefully throughout the entire season with starts and sits, etc. I can't wait to see you guys on the next video. See you guys next time.